All right, welcome to Little Pod That Could. My guest today is Mason Schultz. Mason, thanks for being here.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of excited. Like I was telling, we were talking about before we started recording. I don't even really know how you kind of got on my radar. I think I saw you in one of AJ's videos, and then you popped up on like people you may know on Instagram or whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, it's that dude. And I was kind of surprised because you were like playing hoops in his video. I'm like, I coached basketball in the area. I'm like, how do I not remember this guy? But you didn't play sports at all in high school, right?
I play lacrosse. Yeah, so I was
Okay.
kind of a I was kind of a problem kid at that part of my life. Um, I wanted to drink and smoke pot and be a miscreant, and lacrosse allowed for me to show up stoned to practice half the practices and start, and basketball and football all required a lot of work that I just never fell in love with, and I felt that to be good at those sports, you had to love the work, and I just didn't want to do it. I just wanted to be good at school and I mean get stoned, and that was what high school was for me, man.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
when I was asking around too, I was like, this dude's plenty of sports. Like, yeah, not really, but he's super athletic. Like, everyone kept saying the same thing, so I was kind of surprised. Like, what the heck? How come he? What's going on? So okay, that makes more sense. So
Yeah.
were you always into like fitness and athletics, like from the get, or?
So I mean, going into high school, I guess so I grew up in Salem with my aunt and uncle for the most part, and my uncle was a really big fitness guy. He would wake up very early in the morning, had a pretty strict regimen of how he was maintaining his fitness into his older years, and he kind of got me into it probably around 14 when the courthouse, Battle Creek Courthouse, would let you in. That was their age threshold. And then, I mean, I think just like a lot of males, you have that interaction. I had an interaction with a female who had a lot of leverage as far as socially in high school. I was at South Salem at the time, and she said something that resonated with me and fired me up and put me in the gym. And my parents were dropping me off 5, 6 days a week since that point until I got my license. And so I think and it's been pretty much just since that point, I've been an evolution of on and off passion for it, relearning how I want to approach fitness, whether I wanted to be an athlete or not. So, and now I've gone more like the aesthetic part of it. I find.
Okay, so the driver, what was the driver initially? I mean, it was obviously to get attention from girls, but
Yeah, yeah.
like, so was it all has it always kind of been about the looks and the aesthetic, or was there a
Um,
time where you kind of considered?
I would say so. Initially, I would say it was about the looks and the aesthetic, because you want to look good, you want to have muscles, you want girls to be attracted to you. You're young, you're insecure, you're very impressionable, and
Mhm.
you attack the gym that way. So you're fired up just from that really shallow kind of I need girls to give me more respect, and also you get more respect from males if I mean
Mhm.
it's if you have a cool looking physique. So it started as that. I think around sophomore or junior year, AJ was in my Spanish class. Lepre was in my Spanish class, and he was on an AAU team. And they were short guys for a weekend for they're doing fall basketball, and they were short guys. And he said, "You're really tall. Do you want to just stand in? It'd be a huge favor. We'd buy you lunch, and you could come hang out. You come hang out with us for a couple days and play in this tournament." And I did it, and his dad was coaching us. And I don't know if you're familiar with Sam Lepre, but he's quite
Mhm.
notorious in town.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he made it pretty clear that I could probably pursue a career in basketball. So I started shifting my approach to the gym more to become an explosive and a really athletic, just to try to be as athletic as I possibly could. And I think, end of sophomore year, junior year, senior year, that's kind of how I approached fitness, was for those reasons. And college pretty much transitioned to a lot more. I went to U of O, started drinking again, and fitness was just ended up being more of a discipline thing than anything else. I wasn't worried about the aesthetic part of it. I wasn't worried about being that explosive of an athlete. I just wanted to do it to make sure I still maintain that habit. And now I've ended up here now, and I've gotten like more to the bodybuilding route of it, because lifting heavy and powerlifting's tough on the body. Being explosive is not as sustainable as it once was.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so when you say you shifted from, more the look side of it to the speed side of it, like, or to the athletic side of it, what were you? How were you doing that? Because I mean, you were a kid. Like, what were you? Were you reading stuff? Were you learning? Like, where did you learn?
So I mean, so I when first started lifting, there was very little. There's a lot of like literature online for you to read about fitness, but I'm such a visual guy. It was hard for me to just read something and understand it that way.
Hmm.
And there was maybe three guys on YouTube at the time who were making content where you could watch them and really get a full workout routine from them and learn how to do certain movements properly. I think it was Scott Herman Fitness, Jeff Cavalier, who's Athlete X, who's been around since. I mean, he's the original YouTube fitness guy. And
Hmm.
man, one more guy who got hit by a train. Not even kidding. He literally got ran over by a
Dang.
train. Yeah.
Like after he was on YouTube, or this like when he was
Yeah.
a kid and then he became fit.
No, no, he died. His name was
Oh
Greg Plitt.
shoot!
Yeah, yeah, Greg Plitt. So he was doing a shoot and he
Dang.
tried to like do some Superman looking stuff and ran away from the train and it ran him over. So I was learning from those guys and they basically just had like a couple of them had some pretty good instructional videos on how to do things and rep schemes and tempos and things of that nature and form discussion. And then the rest of it was mostly just like a workout montage, and I'm just pulling pieces from it, trying to make this mashup of a workout and completely underestimating what body parts needed more work because everyone is genetically gifted in a certain area as far as muscle development. And
Hmm.
you just end up at that age, you just end up hitting the ones that you're seeing the most growth from because you're like, that's exciting. I'm going to keep doing that. Seeing my
Hmm.
back muscles grow, I'm just going to keep doing that. And legs is hard, so you don't want to do that.
Sure.
And then I started in the shift where I learned how to do more explosive stuff. I actually learned a lot from AJ's dad because he was the head coach for Oregon Track Club in Eugene. So I was very
Hmm.
lucky to be able to have the experience of gaining knowledge from him. He guided us through workouts. I basically just told him I wanted to jump higher,
Hmm.
and he made my hips really strong and elastic and um, made it so that I was in good running shape and I could maintain a lot of endurance, while jumping and being really good laterally. So I basically got that instruction from him directly, and
Okay.
AJ as well. AJ has so much knowledge as far as how to become a better athlete in the gym and then like also on the court. So I learned a lot from those two guys as far
Hmm.
as like what it takes to train to be an athlete, not just to be a good basketball player.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
want to get deeper into the fitness stuff, but I mean, I don't want to like. What else are you interested in? Like, what else?
Oh, man, I'm interested in a lot of stuff. I like to consider myself a voracious reader. I
Okay.
probably, yeah, I make it through. Uh,
That's actually on my list. I wanted to ask you like what you're reading, what kind of stuff.
yeah.
What do you since you brought it up? What are you reading right now?
Right now, I am actually just reading The Power of Now, the Eckhart Tolle book, which is like a
Okay.
self-help book.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
picked
Yeah.
it up because it was just in our bookcase, my girlfriend and I's apartment. It was just in there, and it's old and tattered. And I know it was a
Hmm.
pretty influential self-help book. I've read so many self-help books that I feel like there's nothing that they're going to tell me that's going to be new information for me. But I'm getting through
Hmm.
it, and it's mostly just like a nice reminder of the importance of not living in the past or the future. Breathe your way through the present moment because I'm a very I think I'm just constantly anxious, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think I'm just mentally prepping for something all the time, and
Hmm.
it's just a nice reminder to kind of, ease back in, appreciate where you're at, and not think too hard about where you're going or where you've been.
Okay, so I don't want to put you on the spot too much, so I'm just
Yeah,
gonna like drop this question so you can think about it while we talk about other stuff. But
yeah,
I'm wondering if maybe you have like a couple books you're like, okay, you definitely need to read this book. You know what I mean? Like, if are there a couple books that have been really influential in your life that you felt like have been
yeah.
super helpful?
Oh yeah, I got a couple actually.
Oh, off the top of your head, ready
Yeah, a
to
couple
go.
off
Okay,
the top of my
all
head.
right, let's go.
Um, there's one that I want to read. I listened to it twice. I think *Sapiens*, which is a brief history of
Oh, okay,
humankind,
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
which is a really really good book. I think everyone should read it. It's just it's important to know where we came from, man.
Yeah.
Biologically, it just gives a really nice, concise breakdown of pretty much every part of human history, how we developed. Like, I mean, because there were humans that lived millions of years before us and for millions of years. I mean, we're the our
Mm-hmm.
time as a human species has been the shortest of all other humans. Neanderthal and Erectus were around for millions of years, and we've been here for about half that. So
Right.
that's a
Okay.
really good book. The other one I really like, it's kind of an evil book, but the 48 Laws of Power by Robert
Okay.
Greene.
Robert Greene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really good book. It's a good listen if you have Audible, because it's pretty. Um, it gets kind
It's
of
thick.
dense. Yeah, it's thick. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
visually
Yeah.
intimidating if you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I've got it on my bookshelf and it's been sitting there because it's like,
yeah.
I have that and
Hmm.
Mastery, I think. I have two of his books. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
And
So
then you
I've read.
open it up too and it's like
Yeah.
tiny font. You're
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, dude, this guy's going
Yeah.
heavy. And
Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah. 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 Okay.
No,
All right.
definitely give that a read. I mean, if you want to listen, I listened to it. I went through it twice too, and just because it
Okay.
had so many things I felt were important, not necessarily that you're going to use, because a lot of it seems, I mean, sociopathic. A lot of the laws that he explains to you. I mean, he
Yes.
uses people throughout history who were, I mean, who are wanted for notorious war crimes, like Henry Kissinger, and he
Mm-hmm.
uses him as an example quite a bit, showing how his whole thing is talk about the law and then how it was applied in history and then what were the consequences of that law. So and then also giving you like how to avoid falling victim to the same um, to those kind of power
Mm.
struggles, which is what I liked, and because a lot of it it applies interpersonally. People try to, I think most people try to express some sort of power in most interactions, and
Mm-hmm.
it definitely opened my eyes to that. And I think the last one, I got one more. This one is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And
Mm.
yeah, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. He's a neuroscientist, and he talks
Okay.
about basically how we can fall out of our own personal trappings, things that we do personally that we get in our own way. The idea of neuroplasticity and how we can
Mm-hmm.
basically train our brains to overcome the ways that we ruin our own lives, and it's actually
Mm.
pretty informative. And he uses some of it seems kind of metaphysical at some points, but
Mm.
he's a pretty he uses meditative examples a lot. Like he's really into meditation and things of that nature and how important it is. Takes a lot of principles from Buddhism. Um, and I think I just thought it was really interesting. It's a super easy read
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. So
Mm.
yeah, I would suggest that one for sure.
So now it looks like you're reading from a list. Do you have a list of
Yeah,
books you've read or
yeah.
are reading or
I'm just going through I just go through my Audible
okay.
account. Yeah, and then
Okay.
just the ones that
So sorry.
oh,
Go
you're
ahead,
good.
finish.
Oh, it's just the ones that I've gone through more than once. I find that like
Okay.
if I felt they were worth more than one listen, I mean, some of them are 20, 30 hours of listening if you're not doing it on
Mm-hmm.
times two speed. So if it was worth that much time to me, I feel like I should suggest it to someone.
Hmm. Now when you say you're a voracious reader, is that are you doing only audiobooks, or do you read physical copies too, or
Yeah, yeah. So I usually use the audiobook thing in the gym.
okay?
And sometimes it just depends on how I'm feeling. I think audiobooks are really helpful. It's really helpful to take in information, and you don't really have to
Hmm.
do. You could be doing any task. I could be cleaning the kitchen or cleaning my apartment, and I could be listening to an audiobook, and it makes it go by
Hmm.
fast. And I'm learning at the same time to where if you have a physical hard copy of a book, you have to set time aside to make that happen, which I do enjoy doing as well. I probably get through 2 books, solid copies a month. Um,
Okay. Wow.
yeah, yeah. But
Um.
like I said, you gotta set time out for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was excited to find out that Spotify had some audiobooks. I've been listening to Atomic Habits by James Clear. That one's been
Th-
really good too.
They started doing audiobooks.
So I don't know. Okay, so I was like, I was Joe Rogan moved his podcast to Spotify, so I was like, fuck that. I'm not following Spotify. I'm not doing that. I'll just stop listening to Rogan. Anyway, I joined Spotify. And so I was like, well, this seems kind of cool. And the thing that sold me was I searched, I was like, I wonder if they just have books. And that book was on my list to read. So I was like, let me just see if they had it. And they had it. I was like, what the hell? But it's like under, it's like it was made by somebody else, like Cruising to Boozing or something. But it's like they had a whole bunch of like really popular, like self help type of books on there. So yeah, I've been listening to the audiobook. It's awesome.
Man,
So
oh, so
anyway,
you're saying like someone with like a personal Spotify account has been pretty much taking the audio from these books and
I don't
uploading
think
them?
so though because I don't
Yeah.
think Spotify would allow that to happen. But
Yeah, their
this
copyright's pretty
this
snappy.
yeah, this
Yeah.
account had like multiple books on it, and I saw some other. I don't really know, but if you're looking for a book, because I feel like Audible is. I mean, I'm glad you're doing it. It seems like kind of a ripoff to pay monthly, but you can only read one book, right, per month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
dude, it's
like
like a
15.
ripoff, dude.
Yeah, it's $15 a month, and you get one Audible credit. So basically, what you end up doing is you save because most of the audiobooks are between $20 and $30. So you end up getting
Hmm.
50% off that book. So I guess that's where they're justifying their price point. But what ends up happening, I mean, you pay for these hard copies, they're gonna be just as expensive, if not more expensive. And for me, it's
Yeah.
worth, yeah. Like if I know like a maybe paperback you can get it for
Hmm.
cheaper. Um,
Wait, so you're saying you pay $15 and then you also have to pay for the book too?
no, no, they give you a credit, so they give you
Oh,
an
oh,
Audible.
okay.
Yeah,
I
so
was
they
like,
give
what
you a
the
book.
heck?
Yeah, so they give you. So if you were to just buy, you can download Audible and not have an account, and then just buy books individually. And usually, it's
Mm,
like $30 for each
I see what you're saying.
audiobook.
Okay.
Yeah, there's very few that are less than like $15. So what they end up doing, so that $15 just saves you 50% on an audiobook that's usually $30.
Okay, so but
Yeah.
are you only listening to one a month then?
Right now, probably yeah, only once one book a month.
Okay.
So it ends up at that, probably at this rate, it's probably a little bit more spendy than I want it to be. When I was listening to more books, it was worth it for sure. But
Mm,
they only give you one credit, and sometimes they'll just give you randomly, they'll just give you another one.
hmm.
Some
Okay.
months will just be
Well,
like, hey, we
anyway,
gave you two
shout out to
credits. Yeah,
Spotify for
yeah.
having some books on there that just
I'm about to
come
check
with
that
the
out.
9.99. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I was surprised, and I've been meaning to talk about it on the podcast because I do feel like it's super valuable. I'm like, hey, look, I found this thing. People should check it out. But
yeah.
and it does seem legit. It doesn't seem like some kind of sketchy thing. I think it's legit through Spotify. But anyway,
Usually if
sorry.
it is, they'll take it down.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
I might be telling on somebody.
yeah.
But okay, so sorry, we got off on this tangent because I really like to read too. So as soon as you bring up that you like to read, then I just went down the rabbit hole. But
Oh yeah,
what
no,
other
you're all
kind of
good,
things
man.
are you into?
I snowboard a lot. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I love it. I've been snowboarding since I was a little kid. That was also one of the other reasons that I didn't want to play basketball. My family,
Mm,
or my uncle was a really big skier, and he went a few times a week and would take me, and I started skiing, then started snowboarding, and winter and snowboarding just don't go together. I mean, no, winter and basketball don't go
And
together.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so I
Yeah, I
was
coached hoops. I remember. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so
Huh.
I would
Okay.
rather go snowboarding than hoop, and so I've been glued to it ever since I was a little guy, and I just picked up surfing, and it's really hard.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I've been trying the
Especially
Oregon
in
coast.
Oregon, because you have to wear a wetsuit, super cold.
Yeah,
I did it a couple times in Hawaii. I'm horrible at it, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm doing it on the
Huh.
Oregon coast, usually like Otter Rock or Pacific City area. One of my
Mm-hmm.
buddies, probably one of my oldest friends that I made here, he's uh he's a really good surfer, and I go out with him. I can't even call myself a surfer at this point. I just try to. I try to surf.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say I'm probably 2 for 7 on as far as like trying to catch waves, like I'll stand
Yeah.
up on one of them and then I'll just get into one and eat shit on the second one.
Sure.
It's tough. It's been a challenge, man. Like, but I really enjoyed it. It's really rewarding. So,
Hmm.
and there's
Okay.
not
Cool.
sharks out. There's no sharks on the Oregon coast. That is a lie. I've yet to see one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
uh,
sharks don't. They'd rather not mess with people. Like that's a overstatement too.
yeah.
People are too afraid of sharks. Okay, so when I was telling people, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm having this guy on the podcast." Like a bunch of my buddies that didn't know you look at you and like, "Oh geez, how much time's that guy spend in the gym?" So I'm assuming you get some of that, but like I want to talk about your routines too because I'm guessing that people just by looking at you would overestimate how much time you actually spend working out.
Yeah.
So can we kind of talk about like what is your what's your daily routine look like?
So my daily routine usually, man, in the last couple years, I've really started to see the value of sleep, just on as far as recovery and brain function. So I've been sleeping a lot more. So basically, I probably go to bed around midnight and I wake up at about 9:15, 9:30, and I just roll out of bed, put my work clothes on, and then I'm usually at work between 10 and 6. And then right when I get off work, I head home. I eat and go to the gym. I'll probably be there by 7, but I don't spend more than 90 minutes at the gym. Um, at any time. The only time I do is if I have a buddy there and I end up talking to him for an extra 30 minutes to an hour or something. But I don't spend more than 90 minutes there. But I am there every day. I can't lie. I am there pretty much every day. If I miss a day, it's usually because I overindulged Bud Lights my Thursday off.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
wait, 7 week you're there then usually?
Yeah, yeah, usually 7 days a
Okay.
week. Yeah, it's real rare that I miss a day. If I take a day off, I usually just combine. I'll usually just do two workouts in one day. So if I find myself at the gym for more than 80 minutes, it's usually because I missed a day and I just wanted to, pack them both into one.
Hmm. And how
Yeah.
did you handle? Because like with when COVID hit and everything shut down, how did you still keep working out? Like what did that look like?
Um, so initially when it happened, I mean, the timing was actually pretty good. It was March, I think March 16th is when we closed down last year. So coming up on an anniversary here.
Hmm.
Um, I was having some pretty bad knee and hip issues, and I was already thinking about taking a little bit time off of lifting weights and explosiveness training anyways, just to let my body heal, because initially we just thought it was going to be shut down for a week or two. um,
Sure.
but it was March and the weather was starting to get better, so maybe I had 1 or 2 days a week where it was sunny and I was able to take some cardio outside, or I found just a school playground and I would jump rope, just to make sure that my body was still moving. I was going on a lot of walks, more low impact stuff. And what I ended up doing was I found a program called the Knees Over Toes program, which
Hmm.
I highly suggest for anybody,
And I
no matter
heard
what.
AJ talk about those guys too
Yeah, his name's
on
Ben
a YouTube
Patrick.
video.
Yeah, his name's
Okay.
Ben Patrick. It's a lot of people are a little bit turned away by the price point because I believe it's $50 a month. But he has an at-home program, and it's all you get live trainers. I think there's 3 or 4 guys in their program. I think it's called the Athletic Truth Group, and you record videos of yourself doing the exercises because they are pretty non-traditional, and I guess in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of if you're comparing it to what like a high school lifting coach would teach you,
Mm-hmm.
just as it says in the title, the Knees Over Toes program, it really focuses on hip, and hip, and ankle, just rehabilitation, strengthening. Their whole methodology is strength by length. So they want to put you in the longest position that your muscles can be in and strengthen it at the same time. And I was able to do that with just my body weight. And I think I had you could just, a lot of their exercise you just do with body weight and a stack of books. If you got books thick enough to raise yourself like, I don't know, 6 inches off the ground, you don't need anything else. And a
Mm-hmm.
wall. Yeah, walls help. Yeah, because you're doing a lot of stretching, using the wall as kind of as your base to push into for leverage. But it was super cool, increased my flexibility for a couple months, which I've maintained throughout. I don't have to stretch nearly as much now, but it's as far as an effective program, and it does make you more athletic. I will say stretching is one of the most underestimated parts of being an athlete, and I found by making my muscles longer, I was twice as bouncy and
Hmm.
didn't hurt. Yeah, my
Okay.
pain was pretty much all the way gone. Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, so if
Okay.
you
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say if you're coaching kids with basketball, and they need any sort of sense of direction of where to start with athletic training, I would say point them there. That's a really good place to go. Those guys are
Mhm.
there. It's a pretty unique and special program, and I don't think they've gotten enough credit for for the info that they're putting out there right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, what are you doing eating wise? What's that look like?
Oh, that's my favorite question, actually. So
Because I saw
I'm
you
pr
went hard today. That
y-
picture I saw at White's. I mean, it was like
yeah,
4 eggs, four
yeah,
sausage, some hash browns, some gravy.
yes.
Oh, this
So
guy's going hard.
yeah, so I have a pretty big appetite. I'm a volume eater. Um, I'm not a lot of people who are in the fitness industry like that 6 meal a day program. I'm not of
Mm,
that nature. I'm more like 3 large meals, if I can
mm-hmm.
do it. I don't. I'm all about if. I guess, man, what's the best way to put it? It's called if it fits your macros. I don't know if you're familiar with that eating structure,
Mm-mm.
but basically, there's 3 micronutrients that most people
Yeah.
track. It's your carbohydrates, your fats, and your proteins. And I'm a more lazy approach to that. I just make sure I'm hitting my protein goal, and the fats and carbohydrates just um, vary day to day and come as they may, just based on like what my access to food that is that day, how lazy I am with waking up in the morning, making food before work. Am I going to order Panda Express on Uber Eats at work today? I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
I track pretty meticulously, so I know what's coming in, so I know how much protein I'm taking in, but I'm not really strict as far as what I'm eating. I eat pizza 3, 4 times a week. I find myself at In and Out because it's in Kaiser now all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend loves
You
food.
wait in that line?
No, I go inside.
Oh, okay. Okay. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
always go inside. That
All
line's
right.
huge. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just go inside. It's so much faster. It's like 15 minutes.
What are the biggest misconceptions people have? Because it's weird to be where you and your girlfriend are at because you guys are in this space where you're probably, I don't know, in the top 1%, maybe, I don't know, 5% in the of physiques, right? So when you walk around, I'm sure people have misconceptions because you look so much different than everyone else. What are the biggest misconceptions you get from people when they're just like, I don't know, asking questions or talking to you? Like, what misconceptions do they have about how you train or how you eat or whatever?
I think the biggest misconceptions. I think the biggest one is food. I'm a huge proponent of making this is more of a lifestyle than it is Um, than it is just like a short-term dieting solution. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, if I need to get in shape, I just need to eat brown rice, chicken, and broccoli all the time, and that's not the case. I've
Mm.
found that that is really unsustainable. I mean, if you want to eat good food, eat good food. I found that the just being too strict as far as your dieting goes leads to an unhealthy relationship with eating too little or eating too much. You know, it rebounds either way.
Mm.
At one end of that equation, I think people are afraid of tracking. They think it takes a lot more effort than it really does. It's pretty simple. MyFitnessPal is really user friendly. You can just take pictures of barcodes and it'll just show up, and then you just enter the amount of servings that you've had. It's pretty
Mm.
straightforward, and I think it's important for people to do because whether you're looking to gain or lose weight, people end up, I think, on either end of that spectrum. If you're trying to gain weight, most guys who are in that category are eating far less than they think they are. They think they're eating a ton
Mm.
and they're like, oh, I just don't gain weight. I'm like, no, like this is a pretty cut and dry science. If you eat 500 calories in a surplus every day for a week, you will gain a pound a week.
Mm.
That is, it doesn't change for any human being. That is just how it is. You just have to eat 500 more calories than what your maintenance is. For me, my maintenance is about 3,200 to 30 to like 34, depending on how busy work was and how hard I decided to exercise. So if I want to gain a pound a week, I have to eat 4,000 calories a day,
Mm.
and that's what it requires. And I would say keep your protein on the higher end of it. As far as training misconceptions, people think I just lift heavy all the time. I
Mm.
don't. I'm actually really not that strong at all, self-admittedly. I'm really focused on uh, range of motion, time under tension, which is like I like doing really long negatives and explosive
Mm.
positives, long pauses in the hole. Like if you're doing a squat, I like to go as low as I possibly can into a squat where almost like my ass is touching my heels, right?
Mm.
And hold that position for a period of time and mixing it up and increasing uh, making sure that your body's just not just moving weight that it's not able to. You know, people just come in and throw heavy weights around, and it's not good for your body. A lot of the time, you end up overcompensating in ways that are detrimental to your body. And then, man, I guess what's the other misconception I get all the time? Um, Dang, I mean, I think for the most part, I think it's just the whole you got to lift heavy to be big thing is wrong. I
Mm.
think. Oh, and the other thing, misconception too, is just that working out in general, you're gonna get like people. A lot of these influencers online, um, they look really good, but they're also following a pretty strict program, you know. And
Mm.
yeah, and I like throwing workouts up so people can just kind of get a glimpse into what I'm doing. But in order to see progress, it's important that you have some sort of programming going, which ends up in ends up being kind of repetitive in nature. But that's what it takes to have to have growth. You have to do the same thing a lot and get better at it and get stronger at it in order
Mm.
to see growth. And I see a lot of people that just come in the gym and really don't have any idea of what they want to do, and then they're not seeing progress after a certain period of time. It's because they haven't programmed.
So yeah, that brings me to a couple. I had a couple thoughts. One is if people are wanting to get healthier, what would you say are like the smallest changes they could make to start that have the biggest impact?
Um, I think a small change. I encourage people to just walk more. If
Mm.
you want to get healthier, um, so I mean, we're just kind of moving into a generation that's pretty sedentary. We don't
Mm.
like moving around a lot, and I've seen a lot of success stories of people who were really quite heavy that moved, that just started walking. for an hour, for 30 minutes to an hour a day. And it's super low impact, doesn't take a lot of motivation to do it, especially if you live in a state that has good weather all the time. Like
Hmm.
going out for a walk is huge. Like you can burn an extra 400 or 500 calories a day if you walk for an hour. And I think that's a good one. Just moving around more in general is good. Um,
Okay.
and the other one, it's not. I guess it's hard to. I guess I don't like phrasing it as a small change, but I think just tracking your food, even if it's just for a week. I remember in health class in like seventh or eighth grade, they made us do like a food diary for a
Hmm.
day, and I remember it was such a pain in the butt to do
Yeah.
it. But now I do it every day, and you most people find that they are not taking in what they thought they were taking in. Either it's way
Hmm.
more or way less. And I
Okay.
was on, yeah, and I definitely started exercising a lot or lifting a lot. I was definitely on the way more side. I was eating way more than I should have and what I needed to. I was gaining muscle, but with a lot of body fat at the same time because I was just focused on the protein number of things on the package. So I would literally just make protein shakes with the worst flavored protein ever because pr- protein powders have come so far in the last 10 years, and
Yeah.
I would just mix it up in this crappy little cup and chug it with milk and so calorie dense. And then I
Yeah.
would, my mom would buy the chicken nuggets from Costco, and those have those have like 14 grams of fat per four nugget serving, and I would just eat platefuls of them and had no idea what I was taking in. I was just like, yeah, it's got a shitload of protein in it. I'm gonna eat it. So I just eat
Yeah.
all protein heavy stuff and started figuring out I was probably eating like 5,000 calories a day and had no
Dang.
idea. Yeah, and had no
Okay.
idea. Yeah, and I didn't really start seeing like a lean physique. I was always a little bit. I mean, probably after I was 17, I was a little bit more muscular than other folks,
Hmm.
than kids my age. But I was never. I never had the aesthetics that I do now because I never tracked, and that's where I've started to see like my real growth happen is by tracking, and really that's when you'll really start seeing changes in your bodies when you know exactly what you're taking in.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say
And
just
sorry,
those
so
two. Yeah,
tracking. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Just tracking your food. Just I mean that's basically just mindfulness as far as eating and moving around a little bit more. You don't have to lift weights and do real intense exercise. Just go for a walk. That's just start there.
All right.
Yeah.
And as far as like your long term plan, I know we were talking off the before we started recording. You were saying you're kind of focused on building, helping your girlfriend build her uh, fitness brand. Um, so, are you doing any of that on your own right now, or are you just solely helping her, or what's going on with that?
I'm doing a little bit. Like I've sold a handful of programs to people who ask, mostly
Hmm.
friends. I'm in like that weird stage where I just like don't feel I have the online presence credibility to to ask people for what I think my services are worth. And I
Hmm.
also think that the on like at least the Instagram fitness presence is it's a quicker path to success for girls for some reason. I don't know what it
Yes,
is.
for sure.
I mean, there's a few things we could dive into there, but I think there's just a lot more creepy guys on the internet
Yeah,
ready to
hundred
follow
percent.
ready to follow a beautiful woman than there is creepy girls to do the same thing. It just doesn't work that way. Um,
Yeah.
so growing her profile has been really mind opening because it's really just been a consistency thing. When we get lazy or get complacent and are only posting on her page once a week, we don't see a lot of growth. But if it's 3 times a week and we're dialed and she's constantly on top of it, we just see those numbers gradually increase. And I'm really excited about her process, and I want to get her out of her bartending job because she doesn't want to do it anymore and she's not passionate
Hmm.
about it in the same way that I am. Um,
Hmm.
so I am more geared towards making sure that she gets there first, and I feel like once she's where she wants to be, or is at least monetizing it in the way she wants to, I can start focusing on my platform a little bit more.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple things on for both of you. Have you thought? Because one of the things when you're saying you don't feel comfortable asking people what your services are worth. So are you saying that you're kind of afraid to say, "Hey, you should be paying me $200 a month" or something like that? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. So the big thing is it's just I'm trying to figure out one how to best structure monetization. Because
Mm-hmm.
some people, because there's a couple of different ways to do it. Either you just sell a one-time program, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just a one-time transaction, or you have reoccurring payments, which is more what I want to do. And I think in order to have a reoccurring payment structure, I think it's important to have the credibility behind it. Yeah, I've developed a pretty good physique, but as far as my online presence goes, it doesn't look like it doesn't look to the outsider like a lot of people have believed in my process yet, right?
Hmm.
Just like I don't know. I think who I get a lot of my inspiration from is a guy who's based out of Hillsboro. His name's Julian Smith. He has
Mm-hmm.
about 1.3 or 4 million followers, and he sells a $6 subscription to his workout
Mm-hmm.
programs, which are very effective. I encourage anybody who's getting into bodybuilding to try his program. Um, but he sells $6 subscription. I mean, with 1.3 million followers, I'd be willing to bet that at least 10,000 of those are paying six
Sure.
dollars a month for a subscription, and he's passively making $60,000 a month off of
Sure.
subscription fees compared to where it's more like a real estate transaction where you just make a ton of money at one time with a one-time
Mm-hmm.
program, and they don't need you anymore. I'm trying to make it so that like I can provide a service that people need consistently. So I can continue to get their business rather than just having a one program and people are done with me.
Yeah. So one of the things I was thinking about, because I was kind of looking at your socials, your girlfriend's socials, like trying to figure out from a business perspective, and it's interesting because I don't have talking about like the credentials people. It's not like I've built a ton of huge businesses. I've consulted with some people and helped their businesses really get better, but it's not like anything where I could say, "Hey, I made Nike X number." But thinking about your business, I was thinking, if you guys were doing something like a Patreon and you had something set like a good, better, best model, have you thought about that at all?
No, no, I'm all ears though.
Okay, so my thought was like with Patreon, you would have like three different tiers, a good, better, best model. So your good model is potentially like every month you're programming, and you're not programming for specific people. You're maybe doing two different goal, people trying to lose weight, people trying to gain weight, and you program those programs so they would pay, maybe $25 a month for that, and they get new programs every month. So that would be your subscription base. The better version of that would be they get that plus you're programming some meals for them. You're giving some recipes. You're showing things that you actually make, things that you actually eat, and with the program, so maybe that's like 40-50 bucks a month. And then your best one is 75 to 100. They get all that stuff plus they get like a weekly FaceTime check-in, or they get some, you know what I mean. So you like at each of those tiers you have some sort of value that you're providing for them every month, and so then that way
Yeah,
you're setting up that subscription income that you were talking about. And then
yeah,
you're allowing that to scale because you're not doing like individual programs.
yeah, yeah. And I really like that idea, and that's more along the lines of where I want to head with this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not really. I'm not impatient with this process. I
Mm-hmm.
I love I love the gym. I love fitness. I want to make other people passionate about it, and I know that this is eventually going to be what I do for full time for my income, and I'm not in a hurry to rush the process and just have to get there right now. Like I know it's going to come, and that's what you were saying, that tiered kind of that tiered structure of
Hmm.
kind of like an ongoing subscription is where I eventually see this going, and I
Well,
don't know how long it'll take, but it'll get there.
Well, even right now, you could be working towards that. If you weren't comfortable doing that,
Yeah,
even like you were talking about, get the social proof. If you
yeah,
have people that you are training right now, get them to give you. Because I saw in your stories at one point, someone was like shouting you out, and like, hey, this guy's really helping me with my programming or whatever. But it's like, if you leave that just in your stories, then it's gone in 24 hours. Where,
yeah,
it might be good to start having, maybe you could, if you're helping people, be like, hey, would you be down to record a quick video and then start posting testimonials on your page as well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that way if people go back to your Instagram, they're seeing social proof of other people saying, hey, this guy's really helped me, you know what I mean,
yeah,
before and
yeah,
afters. I mean, your space is made for selling on Instagram because you're showing transformations, you're showing people making dramatic gains. Like that's the kind of stuff that people will be like, whoa. And then you can push them towards whatever you're selling. But like even with a Patreon, I mean, it probably doesn't cost to get started. Like even just to start building your content, because you could start, you could have special access that only your Patreon members have access to the videos or whatever. You could have content already set up. Like honestly, you're a really good podcast guest. You probably should have a podcast, where you're answering questions, talking about specific topics that are related to health and fitness, and then just leaving that content on there. Because as you build that library, then it's going to make that more valuable for people when they actually subscribe.
yeah. And you know what's so it's funny what I'm saying. Like I'm uncomfortable with making that next step. I
Sure.
so just the Instagram presence that uh, I've started kind of trying to accumulate right now. Um, that was a really, really uncomfortable step for me in general. I've always been really, really, I've, I guess part of my value structure is hiding your grind, I guess, being quiet
Sure.
about it, and not really like a magician never reveals his secrets, right? I always wanted to be the guy that um, was muscular and aesthetic, and I didn't want anyone to know how I did it. I always wanted to
Hmm.
to hide and just like because the like from the
Why?
48 last I don't know. I think I like oh because from I guess from I guess that's just kind of how my parents' value structure was growing up. It seemed um, it seemed cocky and seemed like I was bragging about um, and like really just having my whole training process being geared towards getting results that got a reaction from other people and got approval from other people. I didn't want it. I didn't really want it to be that. And then also I got after reading the 48 Laws of Power. I mean, 5, 6 years ago, I got obsessed with one of the laws, which is basically like don't let people know what you're doing. Just be really good
Hmm.
at it, and there's going to be that level of mystery to you. It's going to be a part of your draw, part of your allure is that there's something obviously different about you, and we don't know how you did it, but it's really cool, and we want something. We want a piece of it, right?
Hmm.
And I kind of got caught up in that idea, and then I started doing the modeling thing and really stepping out of my comfort zone. And that was always something that was such a weird experience for me
Hmm.
from the get-go. I just never thought that was um, a path that was ever going to be open, and it opened, and then fitness became even more of a passion for me
Yeah, we
that
didn't even
way.
talk about the modeling thing. How did that? Because I mean, you've modeled for big brands. I mean, I saw you like some Adidas stuff, right?
Yeah, in the past 4 years, I've done a lot of work with Adidas, Lululemon. I did a lot with Dick's Sporting Goods.
Okay.
Um,
And how
And
did that
oh,
all come to
Nike.
be?
Um, Geez. So there was a girl that I knew when I was going to school at the University of Oregon, and um, her aunt is the owner of the current agency that I'm with,
Hmm.
and she told me like, "Hey, you got an interesting look. Haven't seen you in a couple years. You look great. Like, here's my aunt's number. It's going to cost you like $400 to get a portfolio going, but afterwards you'll book one shoot and it'll be a large lump sum of cash, and it's pretty cool to be a part of, and just go check it out." I'm like, okay, modeling, that's weird. That's not even anything I've ever considered in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And I just sent in a couple pictures. They were just awkward selfies because I'm even to this day I'm bad in front of a camera. Like
Hmm.
I'm awkward. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. For the last 4 years on shoots, I've just showed up and pretended like I knew what the fuck I was doing, and I never did.
Okay.
Because there are really good models. It is hard to be a good model, and I never was a good model.
Hmm.
I'm still a shit model, and I don't know why they keep booking me, to be honest. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but so that happened, and they came. I went in and I took all my digitals. My first ones are all these really awkward, like I had no idea, like what do I do with my hands, kind of thing, you know. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and they ended up bringing me on, and they said there was a $200 yearly online fee to keep my pictures and portfolio on the website, and then I would have to pay $400 to go get professional pictures taken, so I had something to sell to clients. And then within a week, I got booked for a Nike job,
Hmm.
and at this point, I was pretty muscular. Like I was more football. Modeling wants track.
Hmm.
They want you to be like an 800 runner.
Hmm.
Not Justin Gatlin, right?
Right.
That's yeah. So I was more muscular, and I'm a little taller than most male models are. I'm actually at the upper end of the spectrum where you can't really model at all.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'4",
Okay.
like like a little closer to 6'5" than 6'4".
Okay.
Um, and I showed up at this Nike job, and it was 6 days of work, and it was supposed to be like a $15,000 job. And I was 19 years old or 20 years old, and I had never even considered, like, I was working at a basketball camp that paid me $400 a week, and I was
Right.
working
Right.
around the clock at the time. So I'm
Yeah.
like, so I go to this Nike job, and the, I pretty much just ditched the coaching for a second. Camp Cascade,
Uh huh.
Kyle worked, yeah.
Yeah.
And I go to this Nike job, and I show up, and I'm much bigger than everybody on set. Every male there, so much bigger, just taller, beefier, and no experience. Had no idea what the hell I was doing in front of a camera. And I was supposed to be booked for 6 days, and they didn't have a single. All the clothing that they had for me didn't fit me. And
Okay.
Nike, yeah. And it was weird because I'm like, don't you have NBA players on your payroll who are like six
Yeah.
eight,
Right.
6'9"? Like this is bizarre. And then Nike is not allowed to make alterations to their clothing.
Hmm.
If they're doing a shoot, it has to be exactly how they sell it.
Hmm.
And most male models are in mediums, and I was not
Wow.
a medium. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was not a medium, so none of their clothing fit me, and I didn't take a single picture that day, and they paid me however much of, I don't know, I think they paid me for 2 days, and all I did was sit around for one day and eat catered food from the Nike photo area in Beaverton, and I didn't take a single
Wow.
photo. Yeah, and that was my first experience with modeling, and after that I actually started booking jobs and taking pictures, and I got a lot thinner. I did it in a really unhealthy way.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I definitely know what, if anyone has issues with eating disorders, I definitely know what that feels like.
Hmm.
Modeling definitely gave me one.
Did you stop eating, or were you throwing up, or like what was the?
It was mostly just stopping eating. I
Okay.
got like an unhealthy obsession with fasting. I would do
Hmm.
I would watch videos and read my way into believing that doing 24, 48-hour fasts with just water was good for you, when really I just knew it was just my attempt at shedding quick weight and staying really lean and skinny. And then what that causes is like super rebounds, where I would have like these 12,000 calorie binges, where I was in Santa Monica at the time, living in Santa Monica, trying to do the modeling thing, and I had a shoot, and I starved myself pretty much for, I don't know, I was exercising really, really hard and eating nothing, like 1,200 calories a day, which is like 2,000
Hmm.
calories below my maintenance level.
Right.
And I would have the shoot, and I would be frail, and I would feel like shit, and I'd be chippy as far as emotionally, because I'm hungry as hell and
Mm-hmm.
I'm working
Mm-hmm.
out really hard. I'm just mad at the world that I have to do this, but too attached to my modeling identity to let it go. And the shoot was over, I'd be in the freaking Krispy Kreme line getting a box of donuts, and just
Sure.
slam 12 donuts fast, and then go to Del Taco down the road, and just anything I can find. And then here I am in my fucking in my apartment, and I feel terrible because I just ate 12,000 calories in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, and I did that, and I battled with it for a really long time. Um, because when you starve yourself and binge like that, the fluctuations in what your body looks like in the mirror are actually pretty drastic. And
Hmm.
because you're depleting yourself of so much nutrients that hold on to just a natural, sustainable amount of water, you end up dehydrating your body, and then you throw so much shit into your body at one time that your body just holds on to water, holds on to sodium, and you blow up, and then you starve yourself again because you look like shit in the mirror, and then the
Hmm.
cycle just perpetuates itself and keeps going. And
Damn.
I dealt with that for 2 or 3 years before I finally found out that you can eat like a normal human being and still look great. You know,
Hmm.
yeah.
Wow.
And from what I understand, most people who have been in the fitness or modeling industry go through that at least once.
Yeah.
Especially girls. Girls have it much worse than guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't even know how we got off on that. What were we talking about before? Because we were on a path, and then you brought up the modeling. I was like, oh yeah, shoot, we didn't even talk about that. But
Oh
what were
yeah.
we?
Man, I think I don't know.
Crap,
Maybe
because I was on that. Oh, we were talking about long term, monetizing.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
that's what it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was asking you about, because one of the things I noticed at one point in my life, I lost a ton of weight. I was actually training people, and one thing I did notice was um when I trained people in small groups, I could charge less and still make more. And so that's why I was thinking like a Patreon would make sense for you guys because you could charge instead of charging one person to train them a couple times a month, a couple $100, you could charge 15 people $30 and make end up making more money out of that hour. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I really think it's interesting that the law of power ended up kind of being a self limiting thing.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
made you, it's because that is one of the things, like I was thinking today, I'm like, man, I'm on this podcast with this model and I didn't even comb my hair this morning. I haven't shaved. I work from home. I look like shit, but it's like, you kind of have to get over that uncomfortableness of I'm not really it's like where you're like I don't really feel like you should be making content all the time, you know what I
You know.
mean, especially like and not just posting to Instagram. I mean, I think if yeah I really think you should have a podcast like just from this. I probably want to talk to you more about it off the air, but yeah man, like we should talk about you having a podcast anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I know you're not in any kind of rush, but like, what is there a plan in place? You're gonna blow your girlfriend's up first, and then kind of circle back to yours. But like, as far as like the next steps, what are the next steps for you?
Um, so the next steps for me, one, I just want to focus on getting back into a rhythm with the whole pandemic process that just happened.
Hmm.
My industry, both fitness modeling and bartending, have all been shot in the foot, um, pretty bad. And
Yeah.
I'm still at the point, and Oregon's still in that kind of like tiered risk, risk levels by county thing, and there's always the risk that we fall back into extreme risk, and
Hmm.
especially with the new variant, I'm not, there's just too much contradictory information out there for me to make a really informed opinion on
Sure.
this whole coronavirus thing. But I know that no matter what, I have to deal with the consequences of what happens.
Right.
And I just want to make sure that my bartending schedule gets back to normal so that I can structure my life to then focus on my project, my dream of pursuing um, uh, pursuing fitness as a
Okay.
way to provide income for myself. And so if I can get my 4 days a week set, my 4 10s for my bartending schedule, and then be able to use the rest of my week to pursue that side hustle to make it my
Hmm.
main hustle, that's
Hmm.
just what I'm focused on right now. It's just getting
Okay.
back to a structure, because I'm a routine oriented guy. I
Hmm.
like to make sure that things are pretty uniform as far as my schedule goes. There's some things that I just kind of let uh, be more free flowing, like my diet's pretty free flowing. But like as far as the gym and working on my side hustle and working on work,
Hmm.
not quitting my day job, I like those things to be pretty structured, and that's just what I'm focused on right now. And it's easier for me to just push my girls platform right now. I'm working on building her a website right now. We haven't decided
Hmm.
what platform we want to use. I like Squarespace because I think visually they just have my friend Trey. He's another model with the option that I'm with Option, which is the agency that I'm with in Portland. He uses Squarespace. His website is sick. He's selling a lot
Hmm.
of online programs.
Hmm.
He's a freak. He ran track at Arizona State. This guy's, yeah. If you want to learn to be explosive, that's another guy.
Okay.
Trey's a cool dude. I could probably send you his information too if you're
Yeah,
doing basketball
we
kits.
can link any of the stuff that, well, I don't coach anymore. It's been like 10
Yeah.
years, but
Oh yeah.
we can link any of that stuff that you want to put out, your stuff, your girlfriend's stuff, whoever. We can link all that in the show notes. Um, I did have a marketing idea I think would be pretty simple. What do you listen to when you're working out?
Oh, what
Is
do
it
I listen
always
to?
audiobooks?
Not always audiobooks. I have music sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I usually actually now recently in the last couple months, I just haven't been listening to anything.
Okay.
I'm just there. Yeah.
Because I think one thing that would be easy for both you and your girlfriend to do would be to do like a weekly play, like a Spotify playlist, like what you're working out to, and just
Yeah.
put whatever music because if you go through like a hip hop phase or heavy metal phase, whatever, you could like put, here's the stuff I'm listening to this week, and then put, because some of making content is just about awareness, right? Like I just
Yeah.
want people to be aware of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Not trying to sell anything. And with the Spotify playlist, you're curating music, like workout music for people, so they could just go to Spotify and check out your playlist. So I think something like that would be kind of cool. You could also, until you have a website, that could be like your link in your bio could be, linked
Yeah.
to your Spotify playlist that you update every week. So
That's a good
plus then you
idea.
could use that as content. That's a post
Yeah.
like, hey, here's the, I'm going on a Motown kick this week. The new Spotify playlist is up, link in the bio. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
just little things like that. I think, as you try to raise awareness, because I mean, your Instagram is really good, and I think has a lot of good stuff in it. But it's like I think there's other things you could do that wouldn't take a ton of extra time that might help enhance what you're doing
Yeah.
and raise a little more awareness.
I will say if I am listening to music while I'm working out, I don't know what to categorize this as, but I refer to it as music you would roller skate to.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, like a roller skating rink. I feel like a lot of just kind of like old funky poppy music stuff that's just like
okay,
easy to vibe to. I think it's got quite a bit of mass appeal, at least if you play it loud and proud in
See,
a
and that's
large
what I'm
group, you
saying.
know?
Like, think
Yeah.
about that. Like, even for you, it'd probably be kind of fun as you started to build a playlist with that type of music, because you'd have different, you could pull, I mean, that's thousands of, so you're basically just talking about like pop. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the game. You go to like some Mike Posner and Bruno Mars, you could like start putting to a Katy Perry, you could have all
Oh
kinds of
yeah.
stuff. And every week, just put up new stuff. It'd be kind of cool, I think.
Yeah, hold on. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example of what my favorite song is
Okay.
right now. If I'm listening to
Yeah.
music, also I like a lot of reggae too. Just from
Okay.
the
See, that's what
just
I'm
from my
saying though. Like,
yeah.
whatever the mood is, like whatever your vibe is for that week, you could create a playlist for that, and then just put it out. And then, like I said, people could just go and like, all right, sick. I'm listening to what Mason's listening to this week while I
Yeah.
work out too. So
Yeah, that's good. That's actually I at least I can put that on what's that section of Instagram? I'm still really not that well versed in Instagram. That little they're like the permanent stories, right? You can post
yeah,
on like
yeah, yeah,
underneath. Yeah. My girlfriend's
yeah,
great at them. I'm so bad.
yeah,
I just put all my old modeling shit on there recently, but I think I could just make a whole one dedicated to what I'm listening to if I'm working out. Yeah.
for sure. Or you can make a
Yeah.
reels with one of the songs that you're listening to too. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You could take a picture, like, because a lot of times there'll be pictures of you working out. You could just put new playlists up, on the pic, and then, like I said, link in the bio, and then just put the link to your Spotify playlist that you're updating every week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I'm probably actually gonna jump on that today. I still gotta go to the gym today. So
Okay, that's what.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. Is there anything that I forgot? Let's plug your stuff. If people want to know more about what's going on with you, they want to follow along with you, and since we mentioned your girlfriend so much, maybe can you plug both of those instas?
Yeah. So my Instagram. Hold on. I even gotta Google. I mean, I even have to look up my own Instagram name. Hold on.
And
Uh,
again, we'll link them in the show notes. People can go to the show
yeah.
notes and like click
Do you want
to
me to do
click
you want
through
me to
to it.
put them in the chat?
No, just shout them out so people are like listening. They want it because some people will listen to this and not even see it. So like if they're walking their dog or whatever, they want to go back. Just
Okay.
give us the
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Mason NJSW, just all lowercase. I post a lot of stuff on there, whether it's just me uh, flexing, me being excited about how far I've come with my physique, or just where I'm traveling. But
Hmm.
most of it when I'm posting is workouts that I do personally. If you ever just want to follow along or looking for a mix up in your routine just to get a challenge, you get a lot of info like that. And then my girls account, which is definitely um, come much further along than mine at the point, is just Erica underscore Cassandra or Cassandra. God, she
Okay.
fucking murder. She would murder me if she heard me say Cassandra. Oh, it's
um,
Cassandra. Erica Cassandra. I always screw that up. It's been 5 years. We've been together 5 years, and I still can't say Cassandra. um,
One other thing I think would be helpful too, because when I was kind of going through your stuff, I was like, I wonder what he used to look like. Maybe like a before, like here was me in 2017, or like a progress. Like if you had some kind of, side by side, something that was showing
yeah.
the progress. I didn't find any of that stuff. Maybe it's in
You
there, but
know, what's funny is so one of my buddies, Devonte Adams, him and
hmm
I both so he's a model now as well, and he's starting to really come into his own. Real good looking cat. He's him and I kind of fall into the same problem with the before and after pictures. So when we were younger, like we were kind of like the chubbier kids. Like
hmm
no, we weren't the ones that were like notoriously thought of as cute, or girls weren't chasing after us. So we were insecure in that way, and we didn't want to spend a lot of time in front of a camera. So there's not a
mm,
whole lot of documentation of us during those years. I got a lot of pictures of me when I was a little kid, but high school is pretty spotty, and there's nothing that I have maybe two or three pictures that will show you what my physique looked like at that time, and
mm,
then mostly what I have is I got a couple of comparisons in the last maybe 5 years of
Sure.
when I got really, really lean, like when I was model skinny, and then what happened as a result of a rebound from trying to be model skinny, and then where
Hmm.
I'm at now, which is sustainable dieting, a sustainable workout program, um,
See, I
kindness
even
to
think stuff
myself.
like that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like even if it's just a couple years ago, like showing
yeah,
model skinny and here I was, but I was unhealthy, and like maybe you explain a little bit in the caption about because I mean I feel like you had some good stuff to share when you were talking about that that would be good even to put in a caption on Instagram.
yeah. It's funny because like I'm 205 right now, and there's a
Okay.
picture of me at 200 pounds,
Mm.
and I did not look nearly as good at 200 pounds this time 2 years ago as I look at 205 right now.
Hmm.
I think aesthetically this is the best I've ever looked in my life. Um,
Okay.
and in my opinion, I have a lot of people who tell me, "Oh, you look so much better when you were 180 pounds," and I'm like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, maybe for a magazine, but for what I'm passionate about, not the case." Um, yeah, so yeah,
Well,
but that's
I mean, I just think you should start. Like when you're thinking about your content, I think it would be good to because ultimately your Instagram page needs to tell a story. Right
yeah,
now, if I go to your page, I'm like, okay, this dude works out a lot. Here's the exercises he's doing. But I think part of what would make your page more engaging is if I could see where the story started. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And like where it's going, I can see the progress.
Hmm.
Instead of just you drop into someone's life now if they follow you and you're like this dude that's already shredded. It's like,
Yeah.
what is this? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's funny because I hear this from everybody. So actually, one of my girlfriend's best friends, her name's Lacey Knight. I honestly don't even need to plug her info on Instagram. She's close to 700,000 followers. Lives in the same
Dang.
apartment complex as we do here in South Salem,
Mm-hmm.
and what she and pretty much everybody I know who's developed a pretty good following on Instagram is what happens is within that first like 10,000 followers, you're still catering your audience or catering to an audience that knows you personally for the most
Mm-hmm.
part. You're still trying to show people in college, people from that you remember from high school, elementary school, all through your life, whatever sphere of influence they've been a part of, you're still catering your content to them. And what I find myself falling into that trap because I know that most of my followers are people that I've met before in the past, and they can think of what the transition is. But I can see what you're saying is where like if someone just drops in, they're like, did that this guy just fall from the sky in shape? Like how the fuck did he get
Mm-hmm.
here? Yeah,
Well,
you know.
not only that, but even the people that you came in contact with, like think about, you know, the people 5, 6 years ago, they may not even really remember, because someone cares just about themselves. Like
Yeah.
they're not spending a ton of time thinking about Mason and what his transformation is.
Oh,
Like
oh, exactly. Yeah,
it'd be like
exactly.
one
Yeah.
of those things where if you post that, even if they knew you 5 years ago, oh shit, he's really changed. He's really done a lot of work. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think even if you think you're still catering just to people that know you, those posts still will have more engaging, more chance of engagement than just posting the stuff you're posting now. Not, and I'm not knocking the stuff you're posting now. I hope I don't come off
Yeah.
like that. Like that's not what I'm
Oh
saying.
no, no, I'm
I
completely
just
open to criticism, man. I need all the help I can get. I don't think I have anything
Yeah, no,
less to
and
learn
I'm
there.
not even
Yeah.
criticizing. I'm just saying I
Yeah.
think it might be helpful if
Yeah.
you added some stuff that sort of filled in the gaps in the story. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because even historically, like if you say you do blow up in 6 months, those people are going to want to go back and see that stuff anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
want to have that historical context on there
You
just
know.
for
Yeah,
the long run anyway.
and you're 100% right about that. And I look at there's a lot of YouTube guys that I subscribe to, and what separates the guys who are interesting and the ones who are not are ones who have relatable stories or
Mm-hmm.
um, that actually show like what their progression was through their relationship with fitness and the ups and downs of it, and they're pretty intimate and with that sharing, and I find myself far more interested in them than I do just the guy who's like, I'm super jacked, which is
Yeah,
which is kind of what I'm doing right now. Just because
yeah.
I'm not as engaged in blowing myself up right now as I am trying to make my girlfriend be on that end, and I think she's
But I
also
don't.
struggling with the vulnerability part of it.
I feel like you keep saying that, and it's almost like I don't think it needs to be an either or. I think it could be a
Yeah,
both and. Like I think you,
yeah,
and I'm not. I mean, obviously, I don't know you. It's the first time we've ever talked, but
yeah.
it kind of feels to me like you're almost using that to like not have to really go hard on yours too. I
Oh,
mean,
most definitely. Yeah, yeah, most definitely. Yeah. I
yeah,
I also yeah, so I definitely am using I'm definitely I don't want to say using, but she's definitely like the guinea pig to this. Like um I I know initially when I was sold on this, it was me who wanted to be having her do all the recording for me.
hmm,
But then I got pretty complacent with like the income that I was making from modeling and bartending that I
sure,
didn't really care about the side hustle portion of it all. But now I don't want to be associated with modeling like at all anymore. So now
okay,
I'm a little bit more inclined to work harder on my process as far as developing a persona online.
hmm.
Um, but like I mean, like you're right. I do. I definitely use her as a means to procrastinate.
Well,
But
and it's
it's
not
also
even.
helped me learn. Yeah.
I feel like it would be helpful to just take small steps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because sometimes it does get I gotta post again today, but like set a schedule to get consistent like you're doing with your training,
Yeah.
like okay, I'm gonna post twice a week, start small, one maybe it's just once
Yeah.
a week, you know what I mean, or like I'm gonna create a YouTube channel, or I'm gonna explore get into a podcast, or but start to I just think you have I think both of you guys have potential to be definitely living off of your comfortably off of your fitness stuff, but I mean, I feel like you should get going.
Yeah. Yeah. Get moving. And you're
Yeah.
right. It's just taking the first steps. I have so AJ Leprez, one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing the YouTube thing, killing it on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and he always tells me he's like, you need to try YouTube, you need to try TikTok, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like,
Yes.
your first videos, your first year, they're gonna suck, man. All of it's gonna suck,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's like, eventually. He's like, you'll still develop a following even if they suck, and then you start getting good at it, and then you'll really start building a following. And I'm just procrastinating taking that first big step. And my biggest regret right now is not using more of I guess, the off time I had with the bar to go out and
Yeah.
and to
That would have
go and make
been,
more
yeah,
content. Yeah,
for
and and
sure.
and now and I guess, and the reasoning I used behind it was like, well, I don't want to get into a schedule with this and then go back to the bar and have my whole schedule fucked up, and I'm like
Yeah.
just giving myself any reason not to do it. And now, yeah, and just from that experience, I could tell anyone, just don't do that. No, don't give yourself any
Yeah.
reason not to
Well,
do stuff.
so,
Like,
okay, so now that you've identified the problem, now you
yeah,
gotta fix it. So you
yeah,
should get a schedule together and get
yeah,
moving.
yeah. Well, now, see, like I said, I finally have a work schedule starting after this Sunday that's going to be consistent. So I can
Okay.
now make my life, I can work around my work schedule now in a consistent way, to where before I was getting called in, and like I would be in the middle of a workout and my boss would call me like, dude, you need to get your ass to work.
Mm,
Like, this guy called
mm-hmm.
in. Now you're moving into a management position. We need you to, this is what it is now. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. And now he's like, okay, we can just keep you on these 4 days and keep you to 4 days a week. So, because I told him that I want to start developing a source of side income, and he's like, okay,
Mm,
well, we'll cater to that. So now it's
mm.
starting to line up, and I'm finally getting where I want to be just with my main job. So now I can really start focusing on making that push online, and
Okay.
just and now, I mean, a lot of the information feedback you've given me on far as what I could be posting, like, that's going to help. And I can tell you right now, in the next month, you'll really start seeing it progress more than
Okay.
it.
All right.
Maybe my following won't progress, but at least my posting will.
And that
So
doesn't even
that's
matter. That doesn't even
yeah,
matter right
yeah,
now. Like
yeah.
it's not important. Yeah.
It's got to be a habit, and I got to think of it more. I just have to remember that it's a passion project. You know, this is what I love doing. I just want to share what I feel that I'm good at and what I love. So, and that's the important part.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Anything I forgot? Anything else you want to mention?
Um, man, no, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I think we pretty much hit anything. Hit
Yeah, I think it
everything that
was
I
good.
I have to talk about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for being on, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, man.
Well, yeah. Okay. I stopped the recording. You should